Hey kids, Tavi Rider here. As promised, I'm going to show you how to build my reliable XP grinder block by block. Up ahead I have a skeleton spawner. It's in this naturally generated world, but I am in creative mode. I didn't want to spend too much time fighting off these skeletons. Normally this would be quite a bit more difficult. But you can build this spawner, or this XP grinder, in survival and hardcore mode easily enough. I've done it several times. I'll show you my hardcore world later. But for now, I'm just going to make it easy. What you want to do when trying to set up your grinder is get light in here as quickly as possible. You saw that one skeleton just spawn in the corner. That's because that one corner was not well lit. So place a lot of torches. Don't be shy. You really don't want anything spawning while you're in the middle of clearing out bedrock or clearing out cobblestone or anything like that. The next thing to do is to seal off the area because you don't want any monsters wandering in. So I like to just make a cobblestone wall and just block things off, make sure we're nice and safe in here. And we're going to need that kind of safety once we're actually running the grinder and waiting for monsters to spawn. You really don't want something surprising you. So as long as this whole area is well lit, and as long as everything else is sealed off, you're in good shape and you can safely leave your grinder spawning skeletons. Ooh, I forgot to check what's in the treasure chests. A saddle, I guess that's okay. And another saddle and random junk. Oh well, nothing too great this time. So next thing is to clear out the space around the spawner. And if you saw my science video about spawners, you know that you need two spaces above. We've got more than that here. We've got plenty of room above. You need 4 in each direction from the spawner. I know it's technically 3 in some directions, but rather than dealing with trying to figure out directions, I just clear out 4 in each direction. There's no harm in doing that. And then 2 below. Now, dungeons are different sizes. This one is 3 in each direction, so I'm going to need to knock out all 4 of these walls, just push them out 1, and then we'll go down a floor. So as we go through this, I have learned the very hard way that you always want to place a torch before you destroy a torch. You really don't want any moment of darkness for skeletons to spawn. You see that skeleton is spinning madly in there. This spawner is looking for any opportunity to spawn skeletons to suddenly attack you. So you always place a torch before you destroy a torch when you're doing this. You also have to watch out for those kinds of holes. You're going to be digging down a little bit, so be careful. Don't drop yourself down into lava or anything. Okay, that's that wall. And one more here. Okay, and we need to fill in this wall here. Now we're going to be going down 2, so I might as well fill it in all the way here. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to fill all this in because it's otherwise it's a dark space that makes creepy noises and something might spawn in there. That's just cobble. It's not like it's a precious resource that we're using up here. We need to leave our escape hatch. I usually put it right in the corner. That's where dungeons tend to put their exits. I'm going to clear this out so we can get into that space. I think we're going to need to get in there later. Okay. And now we go down 2 in the floor, and it pains me to just destroy mossy cobblestone. I'm a hoarder, but this is creative mode. I could just place some more if I wanted. And I always try to break blocks well out ahead of me so I can see if there's a hole like this one I plugged earlier. Be careful, you don't know what you're digging above. And I put the torches directly on the spawner because we're going to be breaking all the blocks around it, but we still have nice high light levels right in the middle of this grinder. So the resources you need to build this grinder are pretty low. You only need what I have in my hotbar right now. You just need cobblestone, 3 signs, some torches, and at least 2 water blocks in buckets. You can go back and forth to a lake up at the surface to get to, so you only technically need 1 bucket, but the more buckets you have, the easier this goes. So I definitely recommend getting as many as you have already crafted. Okay, now we have our stairs to get out. We have the space cleared around the spawner. If I were in survival mode, the next thing I would do is set up an infinite water source. That's where you get a 3 wide trough, 1 deep, and you put water on one side and you put water on the other, and you can take that middle block of water into an empty bucket infinitely. It'll just keep emptying. You'll empty it and it'll fill back in from the 2 sides. So that's an infinite water source. And you're going to need a fair amount of water for this. So now we need to decide which way we're going to go with this. And that depends on what's around here. We can go in any direction we want. But we want the pickup area to be in a relatively clear space like this. Now, behind the wall that I had over here, there's a big, deep, open, dark space. I don't want to have anything there because I'll be digging and I'll be falling out into open air. So I think it's best to have the collection area on this side. This side is too small. There isn't enough space for it. And as far as I know, if we went in this direction, it would be in solid rock. So I think we're going to have everything go towards this direction. So we're going to have our center channel going this way. Now, before we do much else with the center channel, let's get the side channels done. We'll start on this side. So the way I get the side channels in to collect the monsters into the central trough is I go to the corner and then in 2 blocks, so the 3rd block in from the corner, and then drop down in there and then dig 4 blocks back. And you can do that everywhere you can reach here, 4 blocks back. And the water sources are going to be in the back wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then do that again here. 3 in, 1, 2, 3, or 3rd one in from the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then place water on all of the back wall. You can do it every other one. It'll fill itself in. But basically, just make sure you have all of the back wall with water sources, and you'll end up with this nice even flow of water that somehow very oddly stops right at these holes that we dug. So we'll leave that for now. Let's do the other side. This one's going to be a little trickier because we have that space on the other side of this wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it stops right at the dirt there. Same thing here. So 1, 2, 3 in, dig our hole, 3, 4 back. Looks like there's a space back there too. Hopefully there aren't any skeletons or things to come shooting arrows in through there. Let's see if we can plug this up. It's quite a big open space back there. There. Okay. And we need to fill in this spot right here because this is going to be the surface that the water flows in on. Just shore up that wall. And we'll put a top on this. We don't want things spawning in here, falling down in. We don't want players falling down in. Might as well just fill in this whole area. This will take just a sec. Minecraft lighting is so weird. Okay, not down to there. There we go. It's just a 1 high channel for the water flowing in from the sides. And now we're blocking ourselves in here. Okay. A little bit of overkill, but that's alright. It's creative mode. I've got lots of blocks. Okay. So now we should have our 4 back all the way across, and we can start filling with water. Make sure you get all 9 in the back. And again, it stops nice and neatly at the holes. Okay, so let's get this center channel done. I'm going to just get rid of this infinite source block. You can sort of use the back wall as an infinite source now. And we'll dig the center channel that goes up to the water ladder. So what we do is we start with a source block up against the back wall, right down the center, one deep channel, and it's going to stop before it reaches the opposite wall. This is where you want to dig down one, and then start digging back. Now, at this point, we don't want to be fighting the water. Actually, let's dig straight back first. Get some light in here. And how far do you dig back? You dig back up until the water runs out. That's far enough. And then I'm going to block off the water to make it easier to get out of here. We don't need the water at this point. So this is where we're going to start going straight up. And looks like I broke through to our main area here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. That makes things easier. I can now a little bit more safely dig straight up from here. Oh, we got a nice lake over us. Okay. But we want to fill this in. We really don't want skeletons shooting at us from there. But normally what you would do is you would simply dig your way up and build your way up. Oh, here's the sand. But we need to stop the water from just flooding this whole area. So we're going to need our first sign right here. I like to smile at the poor doomed skeletons that are coming this way. Now, the other improvement over my previous video is that I don't use alternating source blocks and signs the whole way up. That's overkill. You only need one sign halfway up to keep them from drowning, but you do need source blocks the whole way up. This is where having a lot of buckets helps. So I put a source block here, and we can jump up and swim through that. And we need to keep count. And so that's 1, 2, 3... Place some more light. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more is 11. Okay, that's 11 source blocks up. Beautiful snowy day up on the surface. I don't want to have ice as my walls here, so I'm going to put actual cobble walls here. If I was feeling paranoid, I would even replace that sand with cobblestone. But I think we'll be okay. So, was that 11 blocks? I think I got the count right. Now, normally, this leaves you... you're deep underground, but this time we've come up to the surface. So what we want to do is actually build the fall at the same time as the water ladder. You can see down there the sign is on this side, so this is the way I usually have the fall go. So they'll come up here and they'll fall down over here. This is the pattern I use. It looks like 2 pluses that are touching, and the fall is going to be down the center of this. But what we can do is build this up as we go, as we build the rest of the water ladder. We're only about halfway up at this point. Oh, and what we do is we replace this torch with another sign. By now, I'm guessing the skeletons are not all that happy. They're wondering what's going on as they're floating up through the water. And so we count again. We had 11 before, and this time we do 10. So 1, 2. And this is just a bunch of building straight up. Three, 4. Oh, that's a problem. Don't want it to freeze. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven, 8. Nine and 10. Now the 10th one here is the special one that pushes them over to the side. So I fill in these sides of the channel, and this is going to push the skeletons over towards their fall. Now we can use as much lighting as we want up here. It's not going to matter. It's not going to suppress any spawning. I like to put some torches on the outside if we're well above the surface, just to spot our big creation in the distance. And we need enough headroom for them. So I've built up the walls a little bit, but you can see the skeletons will fit in right here. And then we need a ceiling to protect them from sunlight. Ooh, one more. There. And this is going to be, right here is the cliff, so we need our third and final sign right here. I'm assuming they're not going to be happy at all about that if undead skeletons have emotions. But they'll get nudged over to here, and then they will fall off of this deep fall. Now, I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. I'm going to just dig straight down. You can find different ways to make this safer, but I'm in creative mode, so I can get away with it. We're going to dig straight down 23 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20... 21, 22, 23. Okay, we got down here safely. And we know which way the collection area was because we kept track of which way we came up and which way the pluses were oriented, right? But this was the correct direction. We happened to get a nice view in here to see where everything was coming from. And this is where the skeletons are going to land. Right when they hit here is 23 blocks. We actually need to dig one down from there. Oop, open space there. It looks like there's a rift down there. A ravine. Okay, so skeletons are going to fall down. They're going to hit here, and we're going to hit them in the shins. We need to fill this in. If you have glass, you can fill this in with glass if you like. But you do need it to be about like that. Oh, I need to go one deeper here so we can get in. Okay, so that's our collection area. What? Okay. A little trickier than usual because of all this open space. Okay. So that's it. That's we've got it going up and down to our fall. We've got our collection area. Now we need to just finish off the water and then remove all the lighting. I'm going to move it down to easier reach for when we clear this place out because there's going to be a little while when the skeletons are going to be spawning. And we're going to be trying to get out of here. It's the exciting part of making a grinder. Okay, we'll make sure that this still looks good. I think I'm going to destroy this torch in here. We don't want any extra light in here at all. Okay, so now how do we get the water on the sides to flow into the center channel? Well, all you have to do is fill in the hole. That gets that one. All this other water needs to be updated. All you have to do is place a block in the middle of the water and break it. Like that. And now it flows perfectly to the edge. And we're all good there. Same thing on this side. Okay, and this is our escape route. We're going to come out this way. So I'm going to knock out the torches starting, I think, over here. And here we go. Got to get every single one. Don't leave a single one lit. And they are going to spawn at some point here, so when they do, be ready. Yep. It spawned, only one spawned in the darkest corner. That's typical. And then hopefully we can get out of here before any more spawn. Perfectly dark? That would have hurt right there. But we would have gotten out safely. Yep, perfectly dark in there. That's it. We just finished our skeleton grinder. So now we just wait for them to come through here. You can sometimes see them as they're floating up the water ladder. You'll see their bows sticking out at the edge sometimes. Just wait for a few to spawn. And then once they hit here, we'll see if one hit kills them. If it doesn't, we can just adjust the height right here a little bit. And here we go. Gonna die with one hit? Yes! Perfect. That's what we wanted. So that's it. That is our reliable XP grinder. At this point, I would start building out around it. I would make a door to get back to civilization. I would maybe clear out the space a little bit more, make it more comfortable. But at this point, you can simply stand here, leave your game running, and you'll have your XP grinder. So now let me show you what my hardcore world looks like, and let me show you some of the amenities I usually build around these. Go to World 8. So this may look familiar. This is the collection area. I've got a nice pile of skeletons there. I have some storage and some work equipment in the bed and so on. I have a disposal here because you'll get a lot of random junk that you don't want after you've gone through a few cycles of these. So I just have a piston and a lever here over fire. So what I do is I pile up the things I don't want right on top, and if I realize I've just thrown out my enchanted sword, I can pick it up before I actually commit to destroying the items. But what I usually do here is when I kill off all of these skeletons using a potion, I'm going to have a whole lot of drops that will appear at the same time. So I like to just empty out my inventory of all this stuff. And there's a little trick I've found. I have this empty chest here, and I want to put all my stuff in the chest without having to go one by one. And what you can do to keep your items in the same order, because I like to have them in this order, I'm very used to it, if you shift-click and go in reverse reading order, so right to left and bottom to top, then it fills up the chest in order. And you can do the same thing in the other direction. You go in reading order to get your stuff back out again, and you fill up your inventory exactly the way it was before. So I like to do that to quickly dump all of my inventory into this empty chest. I have a few other chests here for storing random things. Most important, though, is the selection of potions that I have here. This is all splash potions of healing, instant health 2, because that's the easiest way to kill off a bunch of skeletons. I also have a case entirely full of arrows, bones, and bows, and I always chuck the enchanted bows that you get from skeletons, because Power 1 is not particularly... Power 1, Punch 1, whatever it is. Not very useful, and once you have an XP grinder up and running, you can get a much better bow out of it. So, I also have some other things in the area. Let me, first of all, show you... I'm going to take a bit of a risk here going out without all my armor and stuff on. I have this door. It's a button on the outside and a pressure plate on the inside. That keeps any monsters from coming in and visiting me unexpectedly. This is my rail line that takes me off to home. But I also have, in here, same door system and then my enchantment table. Because when you're trying to enchant something, you're trying over and over again to get a high-level enchantment, you can end up spending a fair amount of time here. And you don't want to waste that time. You want to have your skeletons continuing to spawn. Now the spawn room is right back here. I don't know if you can hear the water sounds, the flowing water, and maybe you'll hear some splashes and things. So, yep, there was a splash of a skeleton arriving. So I do a lot of things within range of the spawner. Let's see if we can risk going out in the rain here. I also have up on the surface here, this is my farm. I have a nice big wheat farm, so everything completely grows up while I'm simply standing waiting for skeletons to spawn. Might as well take advantage of it. I also have livestock here. I don't go overboard on the livestock because that can slow down your computer. I just have about 4 of each that I've collected so far. Trying to get a full rainbow of sheep here, but working on that. But you know, you sometimes have to wait for animals to digest their food after they've had a baby, so might as well have them nearby so that I can, again, make use of the time that I'm going to be spending waiting for skeletons to spawn. So, here we are. If we chuck our... oh, let me show you one other detail, by the way. This is the F3 screen, the debug screen. I don't usually use this because in a hardcore world, I kind of consider it cheating, seeing my coordinates and things like that, but it's okay. It's, you know, people choose to do that. But the pie chart on the right is actually really useful. The darker purple is the percentage of time that the game spends rendering, drawing the screen. The small wedge right now, that's only about a quarter of the pie, that's the brighter purple. That's the amount of time that the game spends doing a tick, which includes updating all of the entities, the skeletons and livestock and everything else. When that wedge gets larger and larger as it's spawning more and more skeletons, it'll take up more and more time. And when that wedge gets really large, your game is going to lag and it's going to get very slow. I usually wait until it's at half to 2/3 of the pie, that tick wedge has grown to most of the pie before I collect the skeletons. You don't want to go much farther than that, because think of what happens when you throw this potion. The moment I hit those skeletons, two things are going to happen immediately. They're going to drop all of their equipment, which is a whole lot more entities, while the skeleton entities are still there dying. And it's going to generate a whole bunch of XP orbs. Those are other entities. So all of a sudden, your entity count can triple. Actually, it's more than that. It's quite a bit more than that, because every skeleton drops 3 XP orbs. Now, I understand there's some changes coming up in a future version of Minecraft that may alleviate that a bit, but still, all of a sudden your entity count goes higher, and that can lag your computer even worse. And what you really don't want to do is get your entity count so high that Minecraft crashes. You can end up with a corrupted world. And I did actually test that in this hardcore world. I saved a backup, which is also something I consider to be cheating, but it was for science, so I let this run for 5 hours and came back, and when I threw a potion, that game was corrupted. It would never load again. So be very careful. Do not leave this running for a long amount of time. The first few times, see how long it takes for your computer to basically have too high an entity count. And that's going to depend on your computer. Some computers, faster, slower, can handle higher or lower entity counts. I can't really tell you what's appropriate for your computer. So let's do this. We throw our splash potion of healing, and we get our XP snake. I enjoy playing around with this, seeing it sort of crawl towards us and blinding us. This wasn't a very big one because I didn't have very many skeletons there. I normally would have waited quite a bit longer. But it's still a lot of fun to play with this. But this is also a reason to have a sealed area. You don't want to have a whole... You don't want your disposal to be open. You want to keep it nice and contained so that you don't lose any XP anywhere. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope that you find this very useful. If you have any improvements, let me know. Put a comment on this video. Watch for this on Reddit as well. You can comment there. Love to see what people do with this, and I hope it's helpful to you in your game. Thanks for watching.